Morning, Justice League, Justice Warriors. How are you guys? It's Monday. I hope nobody's got the Monday-itis. Um, how was your weekend? I'm all alone. I'm just talking to myself here, and that's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and get started because I got a doozy for you. I hate to say it because, big war broke out over the weekend. Hey, Kathy Parker. Hello. How are you? It's very sad, all of the folks that have been killed already in the war in Israel. And I titled this Live War in These Cases because these cases are kind of like a war of their own, in my opinion. I want to talk about our Idaho case today, Kylie Rodney and Maui. And there's a lot cooking with all of them. I see that my dear one Drip Drop on Crime Circus just dropped a new video a couple hours ago that I have not had a chance to check out yet. Hey, Mark. Hey, Pixie Knickers and Susan. Look at us. We're all here. Awesome. And also, Harsh has already dropped two today. So I haven't seen any of those. I want to jump right in with this Idaho stuff because it's freaking crazy. Hey, Casey. So, busy cleaning houses and praying. Yes, pray for all of us, right? Especially these people in peril. Good Mahdi to all. Too much war, Ukraine, Israel, and Idaho, Truckee, Colorado, and Maui. I mean, to me, it's all war. All is fair in love and war. Maybe, maybe not. Um, Hello, I've been banned from commenting again, but I'm back. Hello, all. Oh no, Casey, what did you do? That's hilarious. That is wild. How did that happen? If you feel like sharing, that I just think it's funny. Yeah, Kathy Parker, we love Drip Drop too. He's amazing. Absolutely sharp as a tack. Um, so let's see. I want to jump right in and start reading an article to you guys because I think it's going to blow your flippin' mind. The whole thing in Idaho. And I really wanted to start out with Kylie and Maui in Idaho last, but I just came across this as I was looking for the date of this. Have you guys even heard about this at all? The Bonner County Fairground director who took her own life amid an embezzlement investigation. And sure, this is the same county where that doctor was framed by law enforcement for red rum. But my guess is that, especially the arresting of the criminal defendant in the Idaho case, was a huge distraction, a red herring, if you will. And this fairground director, this is the article that I'm going to read to you, um, offed herself last November, early November, like I think around November 2nd, maybe. And let's just get going here. My goodness. I think it ties in. It's just a hunch, but we'll see. I commented on racism or Harry and Meghan or censorship industrial complex. Had to be one of them, not sure. Wow. Um, yeah, I would think racism, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. What country are you in? Are you in America or are you in the UK? So this is malicious harassment. Okay. So Neeks Peaks did an excellent video over the weekend on the Idaho 4 case, and I'm going to put the link to that in the description. So, malicious harassment is what she is calling what the Moscow PD were doing to the residents of 1122 King Road. And I agree. I 100% agree. So this article is from August 17th, 2023. It's in the Spokesman review Fraud investigation after fairground director's suicide reveals deeper divisions within Bonner County government. And I'll put the link to this in the description too. Sandpoint last October. So this is late last October. So we're talking 2022. The director of the Bonner County Fairgrounds was interviewed by police about allegations that she had misappropriated fair funds. 4 days later, she drove behind the fairgrounds and took her life. Okay, right here, I want to point out that if somebody is rubbed out, the first thing it's usually made to look like is a self-inflicted, right? Sometimes it's made to look like a natural, or I like to say a natural self-inflicted accident, like Kylie Rodney. Anyway, we're back in Idaho. A recently released private investigation report, so that was just released a couple months ago, concluded that Darcy Smith misappropriated at least $40,000. Her husband said she had been unfairly maligned. As the fair returns this week, questions remain. The investigation into Smith highlights deep divisions among the Republican leadership of Bonner County, especially between the longtime sheriff. Okay, that sheriff was the one who would be supervising the officer that framed the doctor in the other red rum. Remember that one with the chiropractors? And then that guy who did that was one of the first people in 1122 King Road after the slaughter. Let's see. Especially between the longtime sheriff and some members of the county commission who have publicly fought over the future of a piece of land on the county fairgrounds. Fighting over land, what does that remind you of? It's like war, right? Sheriff Daryl Wheeler released a portion of the report 3 weeks ago, along with a triumphant 2-page news release that blamed a former commissioner for interfering with the investigation. I won't read you the whole article, but I want to read you a chunk of it. Other county officials called Wheeler's statement misleading and inaccurate. County Commissioner Chairman Steve Bradshaw and County Prosecutor Lewis Marshall said they would ask the Idaho Attorney General's office to take a second look at the case. Smith denied any wrongdoing in her interview with police detectives. A few months before her death, Smith filed a harassment grievance against a deputy prosecutor and several members of Bonner County's Human Resources Department. Her grievance was never investigated. So this is a lot of, I think, pertinent information right there. The grievance suggested that Deputy Prosecutor Scott Bauer was attempting to separate the powers of the Fair Board from the county commissioner as part of a years-long dispute between Wheeler and the commissioners over a parcel of land adjacent to the fairgrounds where Wheeler is determined to build a justice center. In his news release, July 26th, Wheeler called Smith's grievance spurious and tailored to hamper the internal investigation. Wheeler said the losses from fraud were substantial, but the entire sum cannot be decisively determined because the fair is mostly a cash business. Wow. Never dawned on me that fairs would be a great way to launder. Wow, mostly a cash business, because that's what you want right there. He said the report provides conclusive proof that rumors and allegations against Fair Board members, employees, and elected officials that had circulated in the community since November were based on false information. This woman is so cute. This woman that offed herself, can you see her? The glare is kind of bad. There. Unreal. For her first name, Darcy Smith. Okay. Um, After this is okay, the private investigation. After Smith's suicide, the criminal investigation closed and Marshall hired Sandpoint Resolve Investigations to identify the losses. The investigation was led by Christopher Swan, a former Bonner County Sheriff's deputy. Oh. His report identified $40,000 that had evidently been misappropriated. That's a nice word for stolen, right? As well as another $207,000 that was possibly misappropriated but had insufficient data for him to conclude. Always with the insufficient data. That's sort of like the I don't remember response to something. Of the $40,000, the report determined that about half came from checks written to part-time helpers who were not officially hired by Bonner County. This included $8,000 paid to Smith's teenage son over a 2-year period. Employees should be paid through county payroll, not from fairground accounts, the report said. It found no documentation showing these payees as subcontractors. The report further identified now $9,000 of unauthorized purchases from a fairgrounds debit card, a deposit missing an expected $5,000 from pre-sale rodeo tickets, and a missing $5,000 donation that was not redeposited when the funds were transferred from one account to another. The report also said a fair board member would typically sign 30 blank checks at a time so Smith could pay the bills. That sounds risky. The name of the board member was redacted along with other witnesses and whistleblowers. Wheeler only released the first 20 pages of the more than 90-page report. The full report contained sections for policy concerns, recommendations, interviews, and exhibits according to the table of contents. The county declined to provide the other pages of the report in response to a public records request. Claiming the rest of the documents are personnel records exempt from requirements to release them. That's crazy. Yes, personnel documents are exempt from the Freedom of Information Act, public records requests, but if the first 20 pages were released, I've never heard of that. Just some pages being released. That's crazy. Smith's husband, James Smith, said his wife was falsely accused. He added that he and their son also committed no wrongdoing. How sad. That report provides not even close to circumstantial evidence that Darcy did anything, James Smith said. He said he was not interviewed for the report or given a chance to respond to its claims. I'm going to just read a little bit more here. I want to get into the harassment grievance. According to the report, fair personnel claimed that James Smith on several occasions assisted in counting cash generated by fair and rodeo. James Smith said he never handled any fair money. The harassment grievance. After receiving several tips in June of 2022 that Darcy Smith was possibly misappropriating fair funds, the Bonner County Human Resources Department assembled a team to formulate a response and present it to the Fair Board, according to Wheeler's statement. Smith filed her general harassment grievance on August 11th, 2022, for communications leading up to and including a July 27th executive session with the Fair Board. The grievance was against the Fair Board's legal counsel, Scott Bauer, Human Resources Director, Cindy Binkard, Risk Manager, Christian Jocelyn, and Human Resources Generalist Alyssa Clark. Almost done here. Smith showed emails exchanges with Bauer in which he insisted she schedule an executive session without telling then chairman of the county commissioners, Dan McDonald, who was the liaison for the Fair Board. Bauer said the meeting was to update her job description and to present a legal memo regarding internal controls. Smith said it made her uncomfortable that commissioners would not know about the meeting. At the executive session, Smith said she and Fair Board were bombarded with legal explanations from Scott Bauer and Christian Jocelyn pertaining to the inaccuracies of the Fair Board creation and jurisdiction. that the BOCC was not in control over Fair Board or its policies, that the BOCC were not my supervisors. And it continues. Smith said she felt that Bauer and the HR department works under the county prosecutor were actively working against her, the Fair Board, and the commissioners to implement some scheme for sheriff's office benefit. You guys, Scott Bauer is Wheeler's son-in-law. Okay, I'm going to stop right there because, like I said, I'm going to include that article in the description, the link to that. And I didn't want to go off on that tangent. I think that there's a ton of effery that's been going on for a long time in Idaho, and just going back to right before these this quadruple slaughter happened, days before. It's too close for comfort. Bonner County is far away from Moscow, but the whole state of Idaho is pretty tight knit, in my opinion. And Bonner County is where Corporal Brett Payne owns his meat locker, or whatever the heck it is that he's owned since he was in his early 20s, I think. There was conversation that he owned it when he was 18, but that was when his age was being misrepresented by 5 years. So, or by more than 5 years, by 7 years. So he would have been about 25 when he started owning that, probably. He'd be about 34 now. Hold on one sec. Again, I forgot how to drink my water. Let's see what you guys are saying. Yeah, Darcy is a very young woman to do that, to take her own life simply over embezzlement. I think there's something bigger going on. Something a lot bigger going on. So I wanted to make mention of, over the weekend, there was a lot of hoopla about this investigative journalist, shall we call him, from Ireland, I think, um, who wrote an article that was completely inaccurate. That's where this whole thing about the um, criminal defendants' red stuff being found in the 1122 King Road residence, 100% inaccurate. And I don't think that was a mistake. I think that in a situation like this, the damage is already done. You publish what you call fake news, right? And then even if you apologize and try to take it back, the damage is done. So whatever news source would publish that on the internet is trash, like News Nation, in my opinion. But Jules of all trades did a really good video addressing it, and Harsh Reality did a video addressing it. I think that it's important to not give too much of the limelight to crap like that, because it's utter crap. Um, so let's see. Can you hear that motorcycle? Sorry about that. Dang, the motorcycle gang. Um, so the witnesses in the Idaho 4 that have come forth and flooded the internet with their opinions, and I say witnesses quite loosely because they weren't witnesses, and I'm talking specifically about the guy who goes by Dave and the woman who is known as Wazoo Kim. And then there's the two frat boys that have been interacting with a specific content creator who I have a great deal of respect for, but I am concerned that these two frat boys are much like Jane Doe 1 and Jane Doe 2 in the Kylie Rodney case, if you follow me. Um, so let me just make one reference to a Bubbly Waters video from the day before yesterday, from the 7th of October. It's a 28-minute video called Creepers with Knives. And that's one of Bubbly Waters' best videos, in my opinion. Again, I'll put a link to that in the description. But this case is just a freaking crazy mess, and it just keeps getting crazier when nothing's really happened. So that's why I think it's important to not pay much attention to any of that. Um, and there's one channel that I absolutely love. This tiny, um, what is it? German, I think. It's called Elvis Lives, and he focuses on Maui. So let's just jump over into Maui real quick because that was where I wanted to start. The war that the locals have been in with the government and with the tourists has been going on since way before Hawaii was considered a state. There's been a lot of argument about whether it was actually ever annexed in as a state. So there's been a series of 3 videos by Blossom Inner Wellness, where she talks about that. So I want to talk about the leadership being out of town for the fires because to me, that's sort of like your alibi when a hit happens and, oh, you weren't even in town, right? Or maybe you were taking a nap, one of those. Um, Leadership being out of town is crazy, absolutely crazy. The head of public safety that went to another island for a conference on public safety the day before these fires of August 8th. On August 7th, when he left the island, there were already fires. So, this is a theory that I just concocted. Are you ready? That these uh, these planned fires could have been happening while there were actual wildfires. So the direct energy weapons could have been used and could have been planned to have been used during actual wildfires. Like, what better way than to hide in plain sight? I just came up with that this morning, and I can't believe I hadn't thought of it before. So perhaps there were actual real wildfires starting August 7th. I mean, fires in any state are pretty common in summertime, but especially Maui. Maui's been notoriously dry for many years. So that would be a really good way to do it, to try to blend in with the forest fires and then just call all of them forest fires when a couple might be. Um, just madness. I will watch these Maui videos later. Agree though, everyone out of town. Yeah, the out of town. I wasn't there. Um, who else was out of town? Wasn't the police chief out of town in the Idaho 4 massacre? Something strange for sure. A lot of higher ups in the military and government were out of town or unavailable on 9/11. Exactly. It's absolute craziness. So my concern about the Maui massacre, as I like to call it, because I think that that's what it was, is that if these higher ups get away with it, it's setting a precedent, you guys. It's setting a precedence that this is what you do when you want something. You just take it. You just commit an act of violence, an act of war. And this is obviously what happens in wars, but the whole thing with the land in Hawaii is that it's the infighting. It's absolutely crazy. And then for these people in Lahaina to be refugees in their own home, in their own town is just crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Um, Now I'm going to jump to another case because it's bad. Have you heard about this basketball coach, Dwayne Ewan, in he's on Oahu. He's been, I think, the high school girls basketball coach for roughly 20 years. He has had years of complaints about inappropriate SA against minors. He has had allegations and potential discoveries of CP. So the FBI finally arrested him just recently, like 3 days ago. I think he's been arrested before, but to have access to high school kids, athletes, for a couple of decades when this has been under investigation and there's been lawsuits going for years. What? The reason I bring it up is just as an example of the effery of what's going on over there in these islands. I mean, that's huge to be going on in a school district like that. So he's finally been arrested. The women's or girls basketball coach, Dwayne Ewan. And the name of the town that he's from, where he was the basketball coach, is Punahou, Punahou. It's crazy. Hey, CB and Sunset Salty Sage. Fred Field. Hello, hello. So I've gone over lots of effery in Idaho and Maui. What I really want to talk about today is Kylie Rodney. I know that you guys love to talk about Kylie Rodney. I love to talk about Kylie Rodney. Um, Ara did one over the weekend that was just mind blowing. It's just a 12-minute video. Again, I will put the link in the description. So she made a discovery of this woman whose name is April Cole, who has been had been appointed as a librarian for like the Truckee Library. And her experience, it seems, was as a high-end travel agent for the rich and famous. So somehow that qualified her to be a librarian. April Cole. I'm not going to talk anything else about it. I'm just going to put Ara's video in the links because she sums it up very well. And it's something that makes me think the whole trafficking angle with Kylie. Um, Illuminated Mind also did an amazing video over the weekend on Kylie Rodney. And in this video that I will put in the links, one of the things that they said they did in creating the video was they put their artificial intelligence on random and showed what artificial intelligence brought up as what I don't think are random clips. because artificial intelligence is an intelligence, right? So telling a story that is almost like a dream kind of subconscious thing where looking at these images brings things up that you might not have seen otherwise. I think it's brilliant. I think it's absolutely brilliant. And a couple of things that I saw in watching the video, um, the circle that all of the people in the community made at ground zero of the search early on in the searching for Kylie when she was missing, with a circle where they're all holding hands. I saw that entirely different from how I'd ever seen it. And maybe some of you have seen it like this before, but I saw that as kind of like the secret handshake, the pinky promise of keeping a secret. Because when I watch those videos now of the search, it doesn't look to me like anybody is searching or anybody is concerned. It looks to me like everybody already knows what's going on and that the whole thing is a sham. So that circle at ground zero, put it, this illuminated mind video put that in a whole new light for me. Um, Another issue that has been getting kicked around for a long time with, and I'm talking like about a year, with Squirrels on Fire and her Bro, There's Holes in Your Cheese. There's Holes in Your Cheese, Bro series that she did a year ago. Where her theory was that maybe the grown-ups did this and the kids were taking the focus off of the grown-ups. And my thought now, as of today, I think, is that maybe the grown-ups put the kids up to doing something to Kylie. Maybe it was kind of a hazing kind of initiation thing to move up the ranks in Truckee. Maybe. So maybe the kids are kind of taking the heat for the grown-ups. But I don't know. The whole thing is just mind bending, isn't it? Yeah, Casey says disgusting in a school. Yeah, the thing with the basketball coach is absolutely disgusting. And Mark, I think you're agreeing with her. Hold on. I think you're agreeing with Casey the cat. Sinister happenings. Yeah, it's a lot of dark evil. And, I like to stay focused on positive things. I didn't do any of my stuff, did I? Please hit that like button, share, subscribe, ring your notification bell. All my videos are made for YouTube. It's an entertainment platform. I bring these things to converse with my people, my viewers about, and everything I say is simply my opinion. It's simply for the sake of conversation, hoping to have a illuminated discussion where we can all learn together. So there's that. So this was something that I was discussing over the weekend with some of my mods, and this is something that we've all kind of been talking about lately. How everybody and their uncle was at this flippin', let's just call it a faux party out there in Prosser Family Campground. So everybody and their uncle was there, right? It was the place to be. Nobody wanted to miss it, except none of the closest friends were there. Jägermeister says he wasn't there. Kate Cunyo says she wasn't there. Daisy and her brother, they weren't there. This don't add up. If they weren't there, why weren't they there? Like, why wouldn't they want to go to the party that everyone's going to where their friends are going to be? Or were they there and they're misrepresenting the truth. If they didn't go, it makes me think that maybe there was something going down that they didn't want to see, that they wanted to basically be out of town for, right? I don't know. I got my other notebook here. Oh no, I got to go back over to the Maui case for a minute. Um, so you guys have heard that the Maui case is going to take a year and a half to have a report be complete of what went right and what went wrong and what they could have done better in this disaster. 18 months, huh? Yeah, right. And in the meantime, and remember, time is of the essence. In the meantime, mosquitoes injected with chemicals are going to be released in Maui. And the chemicals that are injected into these mosquitoes are not being released due to the secret patents of their chemical process. So, in public records requests, they have not been able to get that information. This is from one of the Blossom and Her Wellness most recent videos where she shows clips of the news, recent news, where an assistant police chief, actually retired assistant police chief from the Maui PD, his name is Clyde Holokay, I think, Holokii, Holokai, I think. Um, so he retired after almost 30 years in the Maui Police Department. It sounds like he's one of the people that retired early because of the current police chief being hired. And this fella Clyde has a lot to say about um, the emergency operations plan, the emergency operations center, and the command staff, and how things are supposed to be handled and how they were not handled. So he's coming out onto the local news and criticizing the current police chief, basically. He says that they have an all hazard plan that is like a play by play handbook, and none of that was followed. So, the way the current Maui Police Department chief handled the situation was out of what the plans would be. He was not even present at the emergency operations center where he's supposed to be the commander, but he sent someone else to operate in his place. And it's phenomenal. I caught that on the local news, and then I also caught it on the local Hawaii news. And then I also caught it on the Blossom and Her Wellness channel. So it's pretty phenomenal that this guy is stepping forward and speaking out because, like I said last week, when you are on an island and you're speaking out against somebody in a very powerful position like that, it could put you at risk. So this man is very brave, and I respect him, and I'm just really glad that he's doing it. And I hope that he and his family stay safe. But again, if anything were to happen to them, him or his family, it would be pretty freaking obvious, right? So, um, Let's see what you guys are saying. The mosquitoes. Yeah. Yeah, the mosquitoes injected with chemicals that they're not going to let the public know what the chemicals are, just like the chemical plastic seal tack that they're planning on spraying there. It sounds so unsafe. I mean, we all try to stay away from chemicals, right? Especially unknown chemicals. It's just crazy. I have to drive. I'm listening though. Thank you, Casey. Thanks for letting us know. So yeah, I am just beside myself with all three of these cases, with the Maui, with the Idaho, and with Kylie. Oh, justice, you guys. Where's the freaking transparency? Transparency is the law, in the law. And then we're not even really touching on the Suzanne Morphew case today, right now. Maybe later, maybe tomorrow. I just am still, I mean, that is such good news in that case. The fact that her remains were found, the fact that that can be taken into evidence and she can tell a story with her remains that should be very instrumental in solving the case of what caused her to be unalive. Pretty phenomenal. Pretty phenomenal. So Mark Molina says, tired of how they think they can do anything they want. Exactly. What are the mosquitoes supposed to do, CB? What a great question. um, Again, that information is in the Blossom Inner Wellness that I'll put a link to. It's one of her most recent videos over the weekend. And I didn't quite grasp what this is supposed to do, but there's a lot of problems with their proposal, their plan. Basically, they're saying that they're going to inject all of these mosquitoes with this chemical, and then they're only going to be releasing male mosquitoes, which don't bite. I guess it's the female mosquitoes that bite. But then they admit that they can't possibly be 100% accurate in sorting out all of the female mosquitoes. So there will be female mosquitoes that bite, that suck blood and transmit, that are going to be injected with this chemical and released in Maui. And thank you for the brilliant question, because that needs to be answered. And I don't even think it's really answered in the Blossom and Our Wellness video that I'll put the link in the description to. It doesn't seem like the information is being uh, public. So I don't know that that is even part of the video that she's talking about it. It's just very creepy. Mosquitoes injected with chemicals released. Pick that. Yeah, exactly. And it's just so scary. I mean, I've talked about wanting to go to Maui for a family vacation, to both have a lovely family vacation and help the economy amidst this crisis. But these particular factors of potential toxicity make that seem like a ridiculous idea, right? So today's the 9th of October. Yesterday, they were supposedly going to be reopening Western Maui for tourism. I don't know if that actually happened or not. I know there was a lot of resistance to the idea, and that there were some people that were all for it. What could possibly go wrong with that idea? When governor messes with Mother Nature and life, it doesn't end well. They messed with ticks. Now Lyme's disease is everywhere. I didn't know that that was from messing with them. I knew that ticks carry Lyme disease. Even mosquitoes can carry Lyme disease. And yeah, Lyme disease is nothing to mess around with. Absolutely. I mean, chemicals are nothing to mess around with, and putting things where they're not supposed to be is never a good idea, right? I mean, non-native plants and animals always mess up the ecosystem. Plum Island experiments. On the Moscow 4, did you hear the other two roommates were awake and texting? Um, is this the information that's in one of the latest Harsh videos? Because I did not watch his two videos yet this morning. Nor did I watch the Crime Circus that just came out a couple hours ago. So I just haven't had time to do that yet, but I will. But I had heard people talking about that before, that they were awake and texting, and specifically even over the weekend, I know some of the different channels were talking about that. Um, and yeah, in the PCA, it even says that they are basing their timeline on the texts of the two surviving witnesses that weren't witnesses. Off the coast of Lyme, Connecticut. Miss Ara, what's up? Hey, girl. So, yeah, we were just winding down, and I was talking up your latest video. Um, let's see, I wrote down the name of April Cole. How on earth did you find that? What you said, you were digging for some stuff and you accidentally stumbled upon that, which is why sleuthing can be so much fun, because you can find these things, just like how I found the thing about Dwayne Yen with his sex crimes, and also the information with the director of the Bonner Ferry um fairgrounds. That is so sad. So sad. Um, yeah. So, whoa, Mark. Yay. All right. April Cole, husband, ex Houston Astro. What? Mark? Holy craboli. So here he put the LinkedIn to the account that shows that April Cole's husband or ex Houston Astro. So why the basketball connection? Why the woman that they hired from the Utah Jazz, or I'm sorry, they didn't hire her. She volunteered to come in and help with the media because they didn't know how to social media over there, with Kylie Rodney's disappearance. And then this Houston Astros, isn't that basketball or is that baseball? If you want to help me out with that, I could Google it real quick on my phone. Um, April Cole, Megan McCarthy, aliases. Interesting. Sunset Salty Sage. Doing research just started. Man. So, I'm just looking up the Houston Astros because I'm curious with baseball. So yeah, like the Astrodome and all of that stuff a year ago, that was a whole nother nightmare. So Mark Molina, what other story has had so many people fly in or teams baseball? Yeah, very, very bizarre. And in case anybody is unaware, I know for basketball specifically that there's a lot of trafficking, not of substances, that goes along with even like the college basketball games. So it's bad. I mean, the trafficking goes hand in hand with sports like that. Um, Band is 2 jobs worth of work. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day, Sunset Salty Sage. Thank you for bringing that up. I had no idea. Um, yeah. Wow. All right, you guys, should we wrap up on this mind-blowing morning, mind-blowing Monday morning? Um, yeah, and I've got a good percentage of native as well, Mark. And I had no idea that today is Indigenous Peoples Day. It's good to know. Good to observe those types of things. So let's pray for truth and justice in all of these cases. Um, and my goodness, I'm just so overwhelmed war, with war. With every sport, Super Bowl is a major one, and so is the golf tournament in South Lake Tahoe or in Lake Tahoe. Crazy in golf, but golf is so clean cut. And yeah, I know the football Super Bowl is a higher incidence of domestic violence calls as well. Crazy. Violence against women, you guys. Not having it. Pray for everyone and wars to end. Maui, it is too much. So, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I'm just, like I said, I'm feeling very overwhelmed, but I still wanted to come on and get going with the Monday with the live since it is like nearly impossible to even think about doing a video on the weekends right now. Hopefully that'll change soon because I don't like skipping 2 days in a row. It's bad enough skipping one day. So I'm going to ask you again to hit that like button if you'd be so kind. Share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed if you are subscribed. Turn your notification bell on to ring if you like to do that. And what else? Just have a really good start of the work week. It's just 5 minutes after 12 noon. Hopefully your day's going well. So far, so good. Make sure you're getting good nourishment and staying well hydrated, getting exercise, being productive, being kind to yourself, kind to others. All that good stuff. Truth was exposed with Christopher Columbus, and he got the boot and decided to honor those that should be honored instead. And yeah, that's a mouthful or a mindful, Sunset Salty Sage. Absolutely. Pretty interesting stuff. So, have a great rest of your day. Sending you light, sending you love. And thanks for joining me. I appreciate all of you. And thanks for modding Mark and Ara, who was here for a minute. I know she's at school and busy, busy, busy. I wish you all health and wellness and just keep fighting the good fight. That's all we can do, right? Resist. Resist the powers that be when those powers are acting in a malignant manner. All right, you guys, peace out, light and love. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.